I don't know if I'm worthy to be sitting here talking to Mr. Grand Finals Animajor. Got some big boy star power over here. Mr.
Yes.
Bedazzled Avatar Aang Grand Finals Animajor Cap himself.
I don't know how many grand finals I've actually done of Valve events. Not very many.
This was an inside job, right? Kyle booked himself and you were just along for the ride.
Um, a little bit. To be honest, I actually don't. I don't like doing finals. It's I mean, and like casting the game itself, because it's usually the best teams, is hype. But everything surrounding it, I don't actually like. There's um, there's added pressure on the match. There's stuff you have to do after. Like there's special set of instructions about how to be able to close it out once a team wins a series. It's I don't know. Normally, I would much prefer just to be able to watch. I would much prefer to do a lower bracket final and just be able to hang out and watch the finals. It is cool, of course, to have the privilege of being able to do finals and stuff like that. But it's not something that I like actually seek out because it's just added stress, to be honest.
That's actually super interesting. That's actually I wish I had more to dive into that aside from going, oh, that does make sense. That is interesting. I guess when you don't have anything to happen after the grand finals and you just like cut the stream off, there's less stuff for you to do. Um,
Yeah, there's every single honestly production of the last little bit of it's always a toss up. Ramping up the grand finals is always it's just a grab bag of production errors. So you never really know what you're gonna get. This time around, the Animajor accidentally closed the show instead of doing a winner's interview. So fortunately, that bit of production error didn't fall on my side of things. My side of things was very simple, even though I was slightly, very slightly panicking because I didn't know exactly when they wanted me to toss. But then, I just found a way. Rich was coming on, and so it was very, very easy. So the production fucked up when Rich was on instead of me. So he had to fill and then close out the show without doing a winner's interview because there was a big miscommunication slash production fuck up.
can I talk about how big of a bummer it is that they basically made a perfect event or
Yeah.
something like close to it, but the fact that they did get some flack because the ending was a bit bumbled. That's such a
Yeah.
bummer because I don't think they should get a pass for like making a mistake at the end. Like, sure, that's like, fair play, fair criticism, right? Like they could have done something better. But it's a bummer that that's the note that's like left on your palate. It's like you just had
Yeah.
beautiful ice cream and then at the bottom there's like just a little tiny like gnat in at the bottom of
Yeah.
your ice cream cone. And it's like, oh, well, that sucks. It shouldn't ruin the rest of the ice cream you enjoyed. But it seems like people were quick to complain about, oh, why'd we spend all the money on fireworks? But I couldn't hear the team talk. I wanted to hear Zhao 8.
Yeah, it didn't help that it was a Chinese team winning, so naturally it just looks a little bit more awkward
Dude,
because, then people are left with a thought, well, if it was a Western team, would they have done a winner's interview? The truth is, there was a plan to do a winner's interview, and for whatever reason, there was a communication fuck up, and Rich was told to close out the show, no interview, even though the rest of WePlay management was under the assumption that there was going to be a winner's interview.
oopsie doopsie.
Uh, yeah, it was just, one of those things. I think in some ways they like somebody panicked or something. They started the fireworks, that happens. That's supposed to be roll credits and stuff like that. And they still could have gone back and done the winner's interview, but that it's kind of awkward and stuff. And so I think somebody just kind of panicked and said, all right, we're closing out the show. So,
I know that trophy lifts
yeah.
at esports events are just generally a very memeable event. And throughout history, throughout games,
Mhm.
they've been I think a lot of them have been suboptimal and muted and a little bit awkward, I think is a good use for them. It's been a while since I've seen one that made me as uncomfortable as LGD did. It has been a while since I've had one that made me just go, ooh, this is what the word cringe was meant for. Not like, oh, I don't really like this, it's cringe, but like, ooh, I feel uncomfortable watching it, because those homies did not know what to do. And maybe they didn't get direction, maybe they weren't excited. Hopefully they were a little excited. They fucking won the major, right? But like, LGD just fucking bumbles their way up to center stage, gets to the trophy, and then there's no like lift and be excited. There's no like cheering. There's barely even any smiles. And maybe that's a cultural thing. Maybe it's a little bit muted. There was no excitement. And then they're just filming them standing there, like inspecting the trophy. And they're like, wow, guys, this is like really good craftsmanship. Look at the
what's
design
inside?
On the side. Yeah, like, what is this thing? They made it. And then they're like, not even like passing it around to other people. It was grade A prime awkward.
Yeah.
Great content.
Yep. And then if you were to listen to the broadcast with really, really keen ears, you could tell that Rich is filling because he's not sure what's going on. And so I think he did a very good job. I was listening to it in the act, and I could tell, but I thought it was very, very subtle. I was like, I could tell he was filling, but I did think he did a very good job of that, about the best job as you could ask for. And yeah.
Yeah, it was funny because like he was on camera and then I think was like told to get the fuck off camera, so like he slides to the side.
Yes, he was. Yeah.
And then we just hear his like ambivalent voice.
Yeah.
It was like, it sucks that even I'm talking about this right now, because I know why I'm talking about this. I am talking about this because as someone who talks about things for other people's entertainment, it is so much easier to tear something down than it is to just talk about good, benign, quality stuff. We can sit here and sing the praises of all the things that WePlay did right and talk about it ad nauseum, but it is so much easier to try and be entertaining, I think, at least for myself, someone who is objectively a hack, when you can be like, well, let's just make fun of how weird the team looked holding the trophy up, right? But we could sit here and talk about, like, the last week was great. The main stage was great. The screen, the camera on wires, the lights, the ramen bar set, the 3-panel meta that was going on, the relationship. I think the Jenkins Effie tsunami situation was really strong. Mostly because I think Effie works best when there is someone who doesn't talk over her, and they gave her a lot of space, which was great.
They're also goofballs, and so she's able to play. It brings out her personality more. Yeah,
like that was great. The ramen bar, they had 7 cameras on that set to cut between.
Yeah. No, they did a very good job. They were so the production. Did they have 7 cameras?
I am guessing. I know there was 2 behind, 1 on the desk, and an over the shoulder, and 1 that was a single on achiever. I think I counted at least 5.
Yeah, I think there was definitely some moving cameras at some point in time. So, for example, the crane shot, they actually would pull the crane, and it would go around the ramen shop and towards the back end where that over the shoulder shot was, and then they would use the crane to be able to get secondary like angles in that area. But yeah, it was a lot, and it was very well done.
They
and
improved
WePlay
stuff
did an
in
excellent
broadcast too. Like
they did.
Like when I saw day 1, my stupid production brain, who can't be happy with anything, was like, well, I really think the talent at the ramen shop are just underlit, and I understand that they're going for a moody vibe, but ultimately I think that there should be more light on the faces of the talent. I'm like, Joey, you're fucking insufferable. Why can't you just enjoy anything? And then
I was saying the same thing. I was like, the lighting in this is really bad.
I talked to one of the WePlay producers on Twitter, and I asked if it was intentional. And it was intentional, but they also added more lights. So,
The stools were also too short. The entire bar was too high. That was also a problem. We kept on asking for taller stools, but I'm not sure if we ever got them.
I think that like made the camera look a little funny, and I think that it did fit the aesthetic of what they were going for. But I think on camera, even if you were like 4 inches higher, which would have been like an uncomfortable seating height relative to the bar, but it would have been better for camera. It was just fun to see Shiver look giant.
Yeah, she was just lording down over her panelists.
Yeah, the event was, I mean, kind of, I appreciate the event was running with like long days because it made it easier for me to watch. That might have been less fun for you.
That was something that they definitely got feedback from the talent. Like, guys, you really gotta speed things up. We are spending way too much time between games and between series, and I think that got a little bit better towards the end. But I mean, I don't know. I mean, I hear sometimes what teams have to say, but you know, to be honest, I don't really care. Like, they know the rules. It's 15 minutes between games, so make that happen. It's 15 minutes between games. I think in some ways WePlay tried to make like too many people happy. I think, and that was definitely, I think, a consistent problem was that, oh, so an example of that, like everybody had something to say about the whole, why did Vici Gaming have to play games back to back? Why wasn't the upper bracket final there to be able to give the teams the break? Well, apparently the teams preferred that because otherwise it means one of the teams had to play first and last, right? If you have the upper bracket final to give the second series a break, so they pretty much asked the teams, which would you guys prefer? You potentially have to play first and last, or you potentially have to play 2 games in a row. And the teams said they would rather play 2 games in a row. So that's why the schedule was the way it was, which was a little abnormal. You don't usually do the upper bracket finals. That's the very last series of the day. But teams preferred it that way. So, but everybody needed to white knight for Vici Gaming. Why did they force them? How dare they? How dare they force them to play 2 series in a row? That is competitively not cool. Meanwhile, it's the teams were like, yeah, we like it better this way.
Sometimes it goes to show that you just don't actually know what's happening.
Yeah.
Sometimes you should just shut the fuck up.
Oh, you know what another one was?
What's that?
So Miracle had that problem, right? Miracle had to take a bit of a break because he was sick of some kind. They were starting the draft of game 1, and the Enigma ended up pausing and walked off the set. Oh, it was actually after the draft, and we were already in the game. So they kind of walked off, and apparently it was because Miracle was feeling sick. And we, I think we on broadcast, we said it was food poisoning. But I hear, like, rumor was that it wasn't actually food poisoning, but he just hadn't drank any water all day. He had just drank too much caffeine and not enough water. Yeah.
Taking care of your own body as an athlete feels like an important thing to do.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. So that's again, that's a rumor. I can't actually substantiate that, but you know, if there are just like funny things that like things happen behind the scenes that like people don't really know about, and I feel like one of the WePlay things was that they tried to teams, players especially, have a lot of power, and tournament organizers really want to make teams and players happy, but I feel like in some ways they overdid it. Most notably with like, guys, you gotta pick up the you can't let these breaks between games extend out to like 40 minutes. It was,
dude, there was
pretty bad.
Was some times that there was 30 minutes between games in the same series.
Yeah, That can't really be acceptable. There should be tight. TI has very tight admin schedules. I know that they are like on timers because it's also the most competitively fair way, right? If everyone has exactly 15 minutes, no ifs, ands, or buts, you have 15 minutes. That's it. Then it also means it's the most fair situation.
Hmm.
So, but
It makes sense for someone like we like. I can understand the position of trying to make everyone happy. Like ultimately, they're trying to really like break into the space, right? Um, and be the people everyone goes to of like, wow, they did such a good job, and I think that they earned that. I think that people are. There's a recency bias right now because it just happened. But I think people are going to continue to point to this as like one of the best produced, most entertaining. Like they got lucky that they had good games. Maybe sans the grand finals. Like they had like good storylines. Like
someone who casted that grand finals, let me tell you,
you're like,
what
ooh.
a fucking snooze fest.
It'd be like, why did
Uh,
you draft this, RTZ?
That was the only finals that I ever walked away from where I wasn't actually that tired. Normally, I'm really tired after grand finals because it's the end of a tournament. I'm finally done. It's usually a longer day, a
Five
longer
games
series,
sometimes.
right? Yeah, sometimes it's 5 games of casting. So I'm usually just exhausted. But that one, I was like, oh, not too bad.
I can do another.
Yeah, we got another best of five.
um, yeah, I think people are going to continue to play this event, and like it's going to be hard not to stick in people's memories just because of the set pieces. I think
Mm.
ultimately, like you can talk about, they were like good to teams, they were good to talent, they had like fun graphics and a credit list with a bunch of staff. Their AR department was huge. The games were good, right? But ultimately, I think what people are going to be like is, well, that set was really cool. People eat with
Yeah.
their eyes. People eat with their eyes, and they got shown something different, right? Like it broke the mold, and especially if you just compare it 1-to-1 with Singapore. And I think that they have some favors that were done by Singapore, being what I would call, and this is like a little unfair because it was very much still COVID restricted, more than WePlay was, but like a bare minimum major.
Yeah.
I think Singapore is like a minimum viable product for a major, and we should expect a little bit more than that. And we got the other end of the spectrum with WePlay, and I would be annoyed if I was Valve because I don't want people going, "Well, fuck, this was better than TI."
Yeah, I think that's kind of a legitimate problem.
I think it is.
Yeah, no, it is. It is because you can't. First of all, themes are always set up for good visuals, right? And TI can't really have like a super interesting theme per se, just because of the nature of the tournament. And you combine COVID stuff, building up into all this, not having an audience. TI is just not going to feel the same as is. So unless Valve like somehow steps up their game from previous TIs, I think this TI will just look not as good as WePlay. So WePlay might have screwed themselves on that regard. You don't want to piss off Valve.
God, we got to forget about the drama from early in the event. Like I think everything did. I mean, did you have like a pleasurable couple of weeks in Kiev?
Yeah, I think my experience was pretty good. I think considering the circumstances, which was that it's a major, so there's going to be certain stresses inherently put into it. There was a lot of moving parts, very long days, so that adds some additional stress to it. There was a lot of times where I was there relatively late into the day, like 1 p.m., and it still ended up being 13 and 14-hour day. So it's like that was definitely a bit of a problem. Add on to the fact that almost every single person there, except for Effie, had worked something just prior to this, which would be the DPC. Every single person was working something. Even Gareth was working SA. I think he was working it from home, but
Mm-hmm.
he was still working that. So everybody was naturally just a bit run down and tired as a result. So yeah. So considering that, yeah, I quite enjoyed myself. We play took very good care of us, and There's a certain satisfaction that comes with being a part of a really good show that gives you just good moments, right? Like for my personal brand, I got good pictures out of the event. I got a meme, which is the fucking stalking picture.
You did
That
get a
one's
meme out of
really
that. I,
fucking
I
funny.
didn't watch the show before the grand finals. Is that where that came from?
Yes, the Wii show. They did a very good job with that show. It was really great piece of content, I think. Unfortunately, again, they apparently players were concerned about time or something, so they ended up cutting the show short. But I don't know why, because then they just went to a timer screen. So I've no fucking clue what's going on with that. But they cut the show a little bit short, which was a bit unfortunate. You add another 5 minutes to give the conclusion to it, and it would have been perfect, but same problem as the ending of the entire major, I guess. Give another 5 minutes, it would have been perfect. But it's just like there's a satisfaction as a talent of being a part of a really good event. So yeah, WePlay was fantastic for me. I got some fucking good stories out of it. I got some I mean there was just it's nice to be able to be back in an event because you get to experience things. I was telling you that was we don't really have stories to tell anymore because it's just you and me trapped in our COVID and quarantining in our houses, and we're not actually going out and doing anything, so nothing's happening to us. So yeah, so I think all around great event.
I have a complaint about the event.
Yeah, what's that?
Um, Mostly that Nigma lost to EG and didn't make it to the grand finals to get enough DPC points to miss on the EU qualifiers. So now the EU qualifiers are with Nigma and OG and Tundra and Liquid and Viking.
Yeah.
Which
European qualifiers and Southeast Asian qualifiers are going to be so hyped because of the two regions that did the worst at the majors, right? If you're a C fan right now and you're claiming, oh my God, bias, we're forgetting about T1. We'll talk about bias in a second. But T1 was the only team to secure an invite, which means every other Southeast Asian team has to go through those qualifiers, which means that it's going to be super high qualifiers. There's a lot of tough teams there. Same goes for Europe. So if your region does bad in the majors and fails to be able to get enough points, then as a result, your region is going to have super high qualifiers. It's pretty interesting.
I'm not in the slightest bit worried for the EU qualifiers.
I don't think Liquid's going to make it, bro.
I'm not even the slightest bit worried about it. I'm not even the slightest bit worried about it. You might be
you
like,
have a
oh,
stellar record against OG, but that same record does not apply to Enigma. You guys are very, very even against each other.
it's fine. I'm not worried. I am not worried. And you might be like,
It's like
oh,
a mantra. You just like repeat it to yourself so you can try and force yourself to believe it.
It's gonna be a really cool grand finals. It's going to be a really exciting grand finals. People are going to tune in and be hyped about it. And then people are going to be so fucking mad when Nigma loses.
Yes.
I'm going to lap up all that internet blood and then just drink it like some kind of it'll give me life.
I will say, unbiasedly, I do believe that Nigma, it would be better for Dota for Nigma to go to TI.
Fucking Kuroki can take a goddamn summer, right? Like we need more stars in Dota, and we can't just keep relying on Zhao 8, Puppy, Kuroki, and Arteezy.
Okay. Sure.
Miracle isn't gonna drink enough liquids or some shit, and then he's just gonna be like, "Oh, sorry guys, I can't play." Like, I'm not worried.
So all around, what, 9.5 out of 10 major?
9.25.
9.25. All right, that's pretty good. Is
Yeah.
is there any has there ever been a Dota event that you felt like you would have rated higher?
This is such a shit cop out answer, but Alliance winning TI.
Okay. Ti3 was a big one. I personally thought Ti5 was a very well ran event. I thought I think it was Ti. Yeah. Ti5, because I was on panel for that one. That's when they like Valve. That was the first time they put a lot of effort into the panels, and it felt like they came up with so many good bits, like the puppet one, right? That was like a really good bit that they had. We had the two split panels. For an example, the morning panel, the afternoon panel. I think that was the first time they did the drafting panel, or was that Ti6? Yeah, that was the first time they did the drafting panel as well. So I personally thought TI5 was like a real 10 out of 10 event. From, but then again, I worked the event, so I didn't watch it. So hard to say.
This event was a visual feast. This is probably the most visually striking event we've seen in Dota.
Yeah, for sure. And I think content pieces that they did were all very good. They managed to fit in. There's content that didn't even end up getting aired. That was pretty good. Yeah, it's like when you have excess and you can't show enough, that's usually a pretty good sign.
So I was privy to and saw some of the behind the scenes of filming OD's hype video.
Yeah.
Neil and BSJ were sending pictures. And the fun thing about that I learned is originally they asked Tsunami, you want to drive the car?
Yeah.
And he's like,
they say that in the Wii show, by the way.
They do?
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't even privy that people talked about it. And they were like, yeah, well, you can drive a stick, right? And that lion motherfucker's like, yeah, of course I can drive a stick. And then he comes home and he messages me at night. He's like, hey, Joey, do you know how to drive a stick? I'm like watching YouTube videos on it. And I'm like, dude, I have driven a stick before, a very limited amount. It is not really like riding a bike.
You don't just pick that up just by watching somebody else do it.
You need to practice it. And also not if you're going to be driving on a highway with a police escort.
Yeah.
Dude, how fucking cool! They were driving on a highway at night with a police escort in the fucking city.
Yep, midnight to 4 a.m. I believe is the filming time that they had, which made for a very long night for those three. But you know, they got a lot out of it. They got a hype ass music video with them doing a bunch of funny, crazy shit.
It's a good time. It's a really good time. Yeah, I was really happy with the major.
Hey, you were right, by the way. You were right about some things.
Oh, I was so happy about the major.
Maybe Joey should be on a prediction. Of course, his prediction on Liquid, that all goes terribly. But Joey was right about Alliance. He claimed that they would bomb out once again. They did. He claimed that SA teams were going to bomb out again. They did. Not again. Sorry. They were going to bomb out this time compared to last time.
I'm just saying.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe PPD really did help them a lot.
Maybe. Or maybe they couldn't change their style. That's my theory. My theory is that they tried to change their style because they said they were going to, right? Remember, part of that infamous interview that people had a lot of problem with towards the end of it, he calls out BSJ and says, BSJ says we can't, because he heard the build up to the interview, right? And he calls out Brian, puts him on the hot seat. It's like, Brian says we can't change up our style or whatever, but if it works, why change it? And he says, we're going to fix it up for the major. And I have a theory that they tried to, and whatever they kept trying wasn't working. And so they finally were like, fuck it. We're just going to do what we did to get here. We're just going to run it back. And and unfortunately, luckily
they
looked great in the DPC, but it did not work.
They had DK. That was like Dragon Knight was still a thing that was functional and a core part of their identity prior. So they still kind of had something to gleam onto that felt really meta, right? But
Yep,
everything
yep.
else was just too slow. Uh,
Yeah,
like
I literally went back. I tweeted I was like doing some tweeting about the event and stuff, and as it was going on, and I'm like, man, I really thought the Lions told us they were going to shake things up and stuff, but like, and of course I get them the benefit of the doubt. I was like, maybe they just found their style is too good. And after they lose, I go and look it up, and I'm like, this looks exactly like an Alliance draft I'd seen before, Alliance versus Tundra, and it's literally the exact same, except replace Rubik, who is not a hero right now, or not really much of one. Only really GH made it look good. Replace Rubik with Lion, who was very, very meta hero. It was literally the exact same lineup, just those four positions swapped out. And it was just like, well, that's a good example of them keeping it the exact same.
what a bummer. Like I can meme on Alliance and say that like, oh look at me, I did a thing right, I guessed right. Like whatever. That's kind of
Mhm.
bullshit. I'll take it. I don't think that they were the best team in Europe. And I think Nigma proved that they really turned the gas on.
Mhm.
So like good for them. And what a great time to do it. Also, like I'm glad that they're vibing. It's good for Dota to have Nigma performing well.
It
You're
would have been good for Dota for them to secure an invite for sure.
yes. It would have been at like the behest of like Thunder Predator being kicked out, which I feel okay with. I think that Thunder Predators is very firmly a 12th place team going into TI.
Listen, I don't give a shit. I'll say right now, Nigma definitely. If they manage to like 100%, I would much rather have Nigma versus Thunder Predator. It's not because they're SA. It's because of the fact they didn't make it to this major. It's always bad when teams secure the first major. This is why a long time ago, when Valve used to decide the invites to the international and it was entirely private, what I heard is that they would always put more emphasis on the events that were right before TI. Because you don't want to invite somebody who won an event in fucking October to show up 9 months later or whatever at your big international event and be invited because they won something 9 months ago and haven't done dick since. So like they're just gonna look terrible. So Thunder Predator did well at the first major, which honestly I think everybody was bad at, but they didn't even make it to the second major, and then the teams that did beat them bombed out. So I would much rather have Nigma at the event because I think they're much more likely to be a strong competitor. Maybe they won't, but
Absolutely, and I would rather have another SE8 team there too. But it's hard to say then like who are you losing, right? Because at that point
mhm.
you're doing like, oh well, this team isn't deserving, but like they are because they got the points that they needed to in the system that existed. They are deserving. I mean,
Mhm.
I can bash on Alliance more and be like, they won 0 sets at 2 majors.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
are they
that's not
are
great.
they better than Nigma to be representing Europe? I guess by the way that we chose the way everything works, they earned their spot, and you cannot take that away from them. But if you told me to hand pick the best 12 teams in the world right now, I wouldn't put Alliance in there. I wouldn't put Thunder Predator in there.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's definitely a problem. Honestly, the whole alliance thing only ends up becoming this thing because of the drama that happened earlier. But there's definitely other teams you can apply that same metric to. It's definitely weighting the DPC the same as an international LAN event is I think just inherently wrong. I think I talked about this last time, right?
VP,
Because
you can talk about it for VP if you wanted to.
yes,
They won
yes, VP.
zero series at a LAN event this year. They had the most DPC
Uh,
points.
didn't they win one at the first one?
They might have.
I think they won.
They
They
might
won a
have.
lower bracket one, but yeah, this time around they didn't, right? So yeah, it's not great. The thing is, the international is in a LAN event. It's not a long drawn out online affair. So you want teams who can perform on a LAN event, not teams who can perform online 1 week, 1 game a week. So it's unfortunate, but hopefully the system will get a little bit better for next year. I mean, honestly, I think Valve just wants to be able to incentivize teams to actually play in the first season and stuff like that. And for incentivize teams to try on the seasons and stuff like that. But like, I don't know if points is the right way. I think you should literally have it so you have to sign up and you have to play. Just just strong arm them and be like, no, you can't take fucking the first half of the year off and come back just for TI. You have to play in the DPC.
Dota is a game that is literally built around a like incredibly convoluted and intricate rule set. So why not just not apply the same logic to the DPC? Like, you can only be at the DPC if only no more than but one person on your team played like everything except for one season. Like, give teams the room to maybe have like a replacement that didn't play season 1 but does play season 2. But not more than one. Or like make some complicated Dota-esque rules for the DPC. It'll be fine. People will get it. But yeah, I'm less than excited about the final invite list, and that is completely taking away my bias from Team Liquid ultimately performing poorly, right? Like, if I completely take them out of the equation, I think that there are teams who are probably an ounce more deserving. Like Nigma's a shining example, or maybe you can talk about Spirit, who didn't really earn it, but looks like they might be close to potentially being at that level.
Maybe I called them my dark horse. I describe a dark horse as not somebody who's going to win the whole event, because I think that's dumb. They're very rare. Dark horses
DC
winning
made
events.
it to grand finals.
Yeah, like that's DC is the best example of a dark horse. But like in Dota, most of the time it's like, Ad Finum, that's the other one. But it's like most events do not actually have that successful of a dark horse. I think Spirit actually did. I think them making out of groups. The average expectation is probably them not making out of groups. And not only did they make it out of groups, they won a series in the playoff as well. So I think I was a little right about that as well.
That tiebreaker game was really hard.
Yeah, I bet it was hard to watch.
Don't get me wrong. I know that if Liquid wins that game, they're probably not winning another series potentially, or like there's maybe like a low tier lower bracket run. Maybe there's like 1 or 2 games they can win, like at most. But that tiebreaker to get out of the groups after taking that game off EG was really hard to watch against Spirit. It was an emotional, heartbreaking roller coaster.
Yeah, it was a rough one, man. I was like, Spirit are no slouches. So after they managed to take that game, I was like, they are not out of the woods yet. But I was kind of hopeful for them. I was like, I mean, you took down EG, right? But no, apparently not.
EG took down everybody except for LGD. What a great lower bracket run.
Oh, yeah.
What a great lower bracket run.
Insane run until they get to the grand finals and can't win a game. Not even the game that they were up by like 10,000 net worth in game 2. God damn it, Arch. God damn it, EG. Why couldn't you just win that one game to make it look like the final was competitive?
I'm a big fan of the player cam of Ice 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 dead and like with his eyes closed back and like sleeping.
Yeah, he's just passed out. Just taking a little nap, little 50-second nap or whatever.
Talking about players who only play parts of seasons and like making sure that you like develop and change rules to evolve so that that's good. Some news dropped today that I opened up and then actually let out an audible laugh to. Like I looked at my phone, someone shared me an article and I'm like, was my response, and that is Ana retiring again for the third or maybe fourth time.
Yep, he has. I believe he's retired for good this time around, or at least is actually thinking about retiring for good. Because so I had heard about this retirement a little while ago. Obviously, it was already kind of rumored because OG wasn't playing with Ana for whatever thing, some other tournament or something. And apparently that was part of the reason why I backed them. Was I thought like Anna's a special player. He's really good, but unfortunately they showed up with Anna and he didn't look very good. It sounds like his heart just really wasn't in it. He tried to come back to OG and make things click again, but doesn't really seem like he wants to really keep that going anymore. So it looks like we have seen the last of Anna, or at least potentially the last. Maybe he'll have a change of heart a year or two down the line, but I don't think this is just oh well, it looks like we're not gonna make it, so I'll just try again next season. I don't think this is one of those situations. So that's kind of sad. Anna was definitely a special player, and it sucks to be able to have a two-time TI winner just kind of bow out without like really much. I'm not going to say giving back, but you know what I mean. Like something that continues on in the community. We like literally that spot feels like a void now. You know, two-time TI winner just comes in, has this crazy story, wins a TI, backs out, doesn't do anything for the Dota community, like in the Dota community for a while, comes back, wins another TI, and then he's just like, now it's gone. And I don't think he has any. He seems like a very private person, so I don't really blame him for this at all. But it doesn't seem like he's really gonna do anything involving the Dota community. Sounds like he's just gonna go back and live a somewhat normal millionaire life. So
As normal as it can be.
yeah.
Yeah, it's a bummer. It's a bit of a meme, which is like almost a disservice to him because he probably deserves a little bit more than that, even though it is ultimately funny to go back and forth and back and forth. Is it better for OG? I guess yes, if he wasn't performing well.
But if he wasn't performing and he wasn't feeling it, then yeah, it's absolutely better for them to try and find something else. And well, it looks like they already found there's something else. So we'll see. The rumors are that Sumail is in Europe playing carry in pubs. Everyone's talking about that, so we're just going to go ahead and assume that he's going to be joining OG because he was already on OG once. They split amicably. There was no other team that needs a carry player, and there's no reason he would be playing any other role but mid unless the carry slot is the only slot available, and that all fits OG.
I would call that a safe bet because we do know that Boxy is going to return to Liquid for the qualifiers and potentially ESL if Liquid do that. I don't know what's been announced or not. Maybe.
Yes.
If they're at that
the whole roster of ESL One Summer Event has been announced, as has the talent group, which we could talk about that in a bit. But yeah, they've got 12 teams and they've got teams from all over the place. They've got T1, basically some of the major teams. The Chinese teams are staying here, which I didn't see a Chinese team on that list, sadly. But at least T1's going to be there. Quincy Crew is staying, and they're going to be in the list as well. So this ESL One Summer Event is actually going to be really hype, I think.
That's dope. I'm excited for the games there for sure. Is OG on that?
Yes, OG is on that list, and TBD on the carry player. Who knows? Maybe it's Gorp.
That would be funny. My worst nightmare would be Sumail knocking Liquid out of the EU qualifiers. I would hate that kind of poetic injustice.
Whatever it is going to be poetic, no matter what happens between OG and Liquid. Just that whole situation, It's have you watched Ted Lasso?
I have not, but it is on my list.
Okay. All right. Well, those of you who have watched Ted Lasso, it's like that final episode. They'll know what I'm talking about. But yeah.
Have you watched Inside yet?
Inside? No.
The new Bo Burnham special?
No, I'm definitely going to. But I haven't watched it yet. I've watched two of the songs so far.
I look forward to talking to you about that, but I will also abstain for... Look, conversations for a later podcast.
Nice. We got to stack them up.
yeah, I'm excited for ESL. What's going on with the talent list?
Oh, it's all men.
We just had such a great time with Shiver and Effie and Moxie for the last 6 months.
You know what I've been thinking about is when you asked me. Remember when you asked me once, would you ever feel comfortable working an event with only men again? And I said depends on the circumstance. Depends on how many people are being invited and all that
Yeah,
jazz.
if there's two
And
people, probably fine.
yeah, yeah, exactly. So there's a lot of people. I see. It feels like almost like a campaign push. Just a lot of people all of a sudden very upset about this because there is 5, 6, 11 people. Okay, it's 10 because they have JJ on that list. Obviously, JJ isn't going to be on camera talent. He's the observer. So he's on the production side. So there's 10 talent listed. Wait, there's 9 talent listed. They threw Scriff in there as well. All right, there's 9 talent listed, and they're all dudes. So yes. So there's a bit of controversy about that. Of course, you'll notice of that list, all of those people except for Purge were at the Animajor. And I'm presuming Purge is just going to be doing his Weatherman segment as he has been doing for the DPC from home.
Mm-hmm.
So that's, so really it's just 8 talent that were there from the Animajor. And
How many of
there's
those talent
a
are the people who
lot.
were doing the ESL broadcast for Eastern Europe? Is it like the
Not
same
very
crew?
many.
Oh,
No. T Governor. There's me and Kyle that are on their list, but we're not actually going to be there because we have been in the Schengen area too long. So we can't actually go back without a work visa. So we're going to be doing our stuff remote. I'm guessing T Governor, but it's actually a lot of new people. AY, Lacoste, Jenkins, Tsunami, Suns fan. None of them have worked any ESL before. So it's actually a lot of new people. Tsunami's going to be the host. And yeah, there's definitely I don't know. What do you think about it? Just give me your initial reactions. 9
well,
people, no
okay.
females.
At least they got one token higher.
You can't do that. You're reusing the same joke that just was used.
I know. I'm really glad that they both leaned into that. That was fun.
Awkward but fun.
Awkward but fun. The right energy. I think that oftentimes you just want to call a spade a spade. I would have to look at the list in front of me. I am never going to talk ill of Neil of Tsunami because we really are good friends. So like I am excited for him because I think ESL is like the last TO that he never did work for in the last couple of years. So I think that
Yeah.
he's won his full circuit of working with everybody at this point. So like happy for him. I think he generally does a good job. We talk a lot about his performances. we give notes.
Did you give him some of his drafting setup ideas? Because Tsunami, that's one of the things. Tsunami always, when the camera first goes on him, he's always got a bit.
Sometimes I will take credit for 0 of them, but I will also say potentially sometimes. It's I like to write stuff. No, he's incredibly he is funny. I mean, why not? I don't know if they asked people and they said no.
Okay, so that is a good response. I see like a lot of angry people talking about this. So Moxie, I believe, same situation as me. Can't go back to the Schengen area. Has been there too long. If you want to be able to work TI, well, straight up, you just can't go back, right? It's something like 90 days within 180. So working the 2 DPC seasons makes it so we can't really stay in Europe any longer. So Moxie's off the list. Also, she's in the US. She didn't go to the Animajor, right? Shiver declined the event. And Effie is Jordanian. And as far as I know, ESL has this event has had a lot of last minute planning, so there's no way they're going to get her a visa in time. They also, as far as I know, probably didn't even watch the broadcast of the Animajors. They may not even know who she is. So that is the
That would be
one.
disappointing for me. And sorry to cut you off. Like, you should just be watching your competitors' stuff.
I think so too. But that part is what it is. But yeah, like so the two obvious ones, Shiva and Moxie. There's an actual good reason for that. Effie, I think there's probably a good reason for that, and that it's going to be hard to get her a visa to go to Sweden. So it's those are like the first automatic three, right? Because one of them has worked with ESL before, and the other two just worked the Animajor, and so it's easy and cheap for ESL to be able to bring them in right afterwards, right? They just go from one event to the other, super easy. Flights from Kiev to Sweden are going to be not expensive at all, right? I mean, I personally think that once you understand that, it makes sense. Um,
It speaks to the
but
problem of that, like, okay, so you named 3 people, and one of those people is, for all intents and purposes, brand new,
yeah,
right? So we're talking about a
yeah,
pool of 3 people out of a pool of, maybe if you're being generous, 30 talent that exists. I would say that less than 10% of talent, active talent in Dota, are female. Uh,
yeah. There's a couple other names that you could throw in there, but
you can toss out, like, I mean, I know Kips did some DPC casting for China for like
yeah,
the Beast stream, and she exists in the space, and is active. I know that if you wanted to, you could almost certainly pull Sheepstick in some capacity.
yeah,
Um,
I
even though
think
she
so
has not
too.
formally been like on broadcast, as far as I know, like there's probably a world where
Yeah,
she.
she did the Moonduck stuff, but I wouldn't really rate that as like a major event of any kind.
Okay, so I'm up to 5, and that's not. I know that there are quite a few women in the Chinese scene, um, but
Yeah,
like I'm up to 5, and that's stretching with 2 and with 1 brand new person. So like,
yeah.
what are their options? Like, are they just gonna force someone for the sake of forcing someone? That's probably not the right play. Um, but I think that overall, like, it speaks more to the lack of diversity than it does like ESL doing something icky.
Yeah, exactly. That was my general thought, right? This comes down to a diversity problem as a whole, and I think it's like really unfair for people to call out ESL specifically in this regard, because it's not like there are many tournament organizers like taking risks on talent in general, right? So I
I
think
guess also
we
I'm who was it, Sumi, who was hosting for Singapore?
Dimitri, yeah, she was
That is
hosting.
also,
Yeah.
I mean, that's probably not a realistic option for if they only need someone who's a host. They are like, hosting is that's not a realistic option, but you should also probably put her name forth as like a potential person.
Yeah, sure. She did PGL, and yeah, I won't like go into that bit, but I think all around it just says more about the fact that there is a general problem, and that is just something that's going to be going on. And I think a lot of people are putting this too much on ESL. They're a company that's just going to grab the people that they see at as being tier 1 and tier 2 and are at events and improving themselves on camera. And the of that list that you were just talking about, like Kips, I don't think she's worked a major event yet. um what was the other name that you put in that was not Sumitra?
Sheep.
Oh yeah, Sheepstick, right? And she did the Moonduck events, but she hasn't worked like a major event. So I don't know. It definitely I like the one thing I would really like is just what I like about Kips is that I really think she does put in the work. That's the thing. It's like I can't criticize her for like, okay, maybe she needs to like put herself out there as a potential hire more because she's doing all the work. She's putting in all these online casts, and that's just like them's the breaks of just there's a lot of people who put in the work doing online casts, and making that jump from getting hired to your first event and then proving yourself on camera to continue to keep getting hired. There's just always a large gap.
I could
That
just
has
as
to be
easily,
jumped.
yeah, I could just as easily make an argument like against ESL. It's not like my first conclusion, but like I wouldn't fault anybody whose perspective is, well, it's on ESL to choose diversity, even if that means that they're not getting their first choice in talent. You know, and I think that we're seeing more and more of that, less like in the Dota casting space, but it might be something that more and more people are privy to, like with their probably westernized workspaces, where like companies are intentionally choosing, universities are intentionally choosing like diversity, and sometimes like at the
Oh yeah,
detriment of
ESL
the
is
best
actually.
candidate.
Sorry, I can actually speak to that. I know ESL is actually pretty well known for hiring a lot of women for their just general work.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's I think it's just an unfortunate situation, bit of a shitstorm for them. That a year, 2 years ago, there's no way that there would be this kind of anger directed towards them, but the space has changed, and that's something you gotta be aware of, I
That's why they
guess.
call it
So.
progress, though, right? Because
Yeah,
we're
exactly. And it's changed for the better for sure. So I saw I retweeted she put out a I think a rather opportune time to tweet. She just tweeted out her credentials for being hired, and it was like her Twitch description: God Gamer 7K Sheepstick or something like that. Yeah, I thought it was funny.
um, I'm gonna share with you something.
Yeah.
That I don't want everyone to know, but I'm recording this in the middle of a work day, and I might have to go
You gotta
back
go.
to taking some
All right,
meetings
that's fine.
sometime soon. So
That's fine.
I I know that we have more to touch on, both stuff that like happened and probably like
No,
some
it's
just some
okay.
stuff.
I gotta go
So
too because my taxi to the airport is literally in half an hour.
oh, you should get prepared for that. I
Yeah.
we'll be back next week. Cap will be in America. We can talk on a normal time zone without 13,000 hours difference. It'll be a good time.
Hmm.
We got more DPC stuff to talk about. I got funny stories on a post-it note over here that I haven't shared yet. Look, it's this one. It's right here. That I've
Nice.
been saving. And we will. Thanks everybody for hanging out with us, and I hope you enjoyed the Animajor. Not that I have any stake in it, but I just think it was good. We're on the road to TI. We're on the road to TI.
We're on the road.
If I do not find myself in Sweden, I'm gonna be so mad. I'm gonna be so mad.